It's Michael Popok, Legal AF. There is coordination and cooperation between Fani Willis, Fulton County State District Attorney, and Jack Smith, Federal Special Counsel. Let me repeat it because it's so earth-shattering and so important to justice. They are staying in each other's lanes. They are working parallel, side by side. They are not coloring outside of the lines of state versus federal, and they're doing it so elegantly. But I want to talk about it here because it's really, really important. She's probably the only prosecutor out there right now that Jack Smith is making sure that he doesn't Bigfoot in his own way and let her do her job as the top enforcement official for Fulton County and ultimately for Georgia as he does his job and the team of prosecutors there. Once again, the takeaway from this hot take: only on the MeidasTouch network, we have coordination and cooperation between Fani Willis and Jack Smith. I'm going to break it down for you right here. Let's start with witnesses, data sharing, information sharing, and how we can suspect, how we really know that there's that level of cooperation. Because she is the only prosecutor that Jack Smith is not trying to shut down in her investigation. She's going to indict Donald Trump, according to reporting on the ground in Fulton County, as early as July 31st. I mean, she could get that indictment in the next 10 days. Maybe it goes an extra week. And we already know from reporting that that is going to be a far-reaching indictment based on Georgia's civil racketeering laws, which are supremely broad, to wrap elastically around multiple defendants like Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, mentioning at least Lindsey Graham as an unindicted co-conspirator, I would imagine. And then she's got computer hacking crimes we're going to talk about and other things related to the fake electors in her own state, 8 of which are already cooperating with her because she's given them immunity in exchange. Jack Smith, on the other hand, is looking at a more sprawling conspiracy in the 7 battleground states that are out there that Donald Trump tried to influence to flip the vote and steal the election from Joe Biden. So he's looking at the 7 battleground states, including Georgia at the top, Michigan, New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. But he's really letting, because look, he's got the prerogative, he's got the bigger button as a federal prosecutor. They normally go first in the what I like to call the air traffic controller. Federal criminal cases go before state criminal cases if they have overlapping subject matter and overlapping witnesses and data, and then civil cases, federal and state, fall behind that. So he, however, is taking the lead in Michigan, New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, but he's letting Fani Willis do her thing in Georgia. Let me give you an example of the cooperation and coordination so far, and that has to do with the witnesses that have already been either interviewed and put under oath by Fani Willis, and where Jack Smith is with those very same witnesses. Let's start at the top in Georgia. Governor Kemp, who Donald Trump allegedly tried to put a lot of pressure on as part of his pressure campaign to flip those votes, flip those 11,780 votes that were Biden votes and somehow miraculously throw them out and give Donald Trump the state. Kemp, after much kicking and screaming, because he really didn't want to do it, testified before Fani Willis's special purpose grand jury in November of 2022. That's how long ago that took place. Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State for Georgia, he testified to the special purpose grand jury for Fani Willis in June of last year. Rudy Giuliani, who just recently talked to Jack Smith, he testified before the special purpose grand jury for Fani Willis in August of 2022, also about a year ago. Fani Willis also has 8 fake electors given full immunity to testify against the others in that scheme. There were another 7 or 8, including the head of the GOP party in Georgia, David Schaefer. Now, let's flip over and see where Jack Smith is, because he's quote unquote behind. He's behind if you don't assume there's a level of cooperation. If you assume a level of cooperation, which after this hot take I would like you to, then he's not behind at all. But Kemp testified for Fani in November 2022. His interview, not even a grand jury testimony, is on the books with Jack Smith, but hasn't happened yet. Raffensperger, June 2022, in front of Fani. His interview, not grand jury testimony, scheduled with Jack Smith, but hasn't occurred yet. Rudy Giuliani, Special Purpose Grand Jury, Georgia, August 2022. He was interviewed a couple of weeks ago twice by Jack Smith, given some limited immunity, hasn't testified before the grand jury. The fake electors have not, as far as we know in Georgia, spoken to Jack Smith. Jack Smith is now getting around to talk to the Secretary of States in the other non-Georgia battleground states, again, abdicating a lane to Fani Willis, who's much further ahead. Remember, she had a 9-month head start because she impaneled a special purpose grand jury before Jack Smith was even appointed by Merrick Garland to be 9 months ago. She had already had that impaneled. She was almost 2/3 of the way through it when he got his job. And she's able, as I've spoken about on other hot takes and on Legal AF on the MeidasTouch network, she's able to take everything from the special purpose grand jury, the 75 witness transcripts, all the documents, and walk it under her arm into the real regular grand jury that she's now in front of with her team, which started on Tuesday with 26 Fulton County residents. That's a special quirk of Georgia grand jury procedure, and they allow what's called hearsay, meaning they don't need to have the live witness come back and repeat themselves. Now, you've heard a little bit about Donald Trump trying to get the supervising judge for the grand jury in Georgia disqualified and try to get Fani Willis disqualified. He tried it at the Georgia Supreme Court level, all Republicans. He lost 9-0. He's trying it again in Fulton County. It's going to get sent to another county because of this conflict of interest. Once you ask for the disqualification of one judge, you got to let another judge in another county hear it. He's going to lose that too. So just focus on what's happening. Tomorrow, just like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week, starting the beginning of this coming week, the grand jury is back in session with Fani Willis's team. As you know, I'm a trial lawyer, and when I'm not breaking down the latest legal filings of the day for you on Legal AF, I'm jumping from courthouse to meeting, and it can be exhausting and, frankly, dehydrating. That's why I started using Liquid IV. Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America and is now available in a sugar-free option. With 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients for everyday wellness, Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone. And you can keep your daily routine exciting with 3 new flavors: white peach, green grape, and lemon lime. I love how Liquid IV makes me feel. After having Liquid IV, I feel ready to take on the day at full strength. Also, the packaging is super convenient and makes it super easy to carry with me for when I need it most. My favorite flavor is the white peach. It's robust and super satisfying, but you can't go wrong with green grape and lemon lime either. Just 1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. There are no artificial sweeteners and 0 sugar, with a proprietary amino acid allulose blend for a sweet taste without the calories or raised blood glucose levels you get from sugar. And of course, it's non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. They partner with leading organizations to fund and foster innovative solutions that help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50+ countries around the world. Real people, real flavor, real hydrating. Now sugar-free. Grab your Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier sugar-free in bulk nationwide at Costco, or get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code LegalAF at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you use promo code LegalAF at liquidiv.com. Everything I've just described is far ahead of Jack Smith, and he's really not working to catch up in Georgia. He's catching up and getting ahead, of course, in places where she doesn't have jurisdiction, in Arizona, in Nevada, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania. But you see how he's giving her her own lane to go after her criminal conspiracy with Donald Trump in the lead. And that's a good thing for democracy, because rather than just come in with a giant ego, For Jack Smith to say, well, I'm the United States of America, which is how the government identifies itself in court. I've seen them identify themselves in the security line on the way into a federal courthouse. We are the United States of America. He could pull that rank on Fani Willis, but why? He obviously respects the work she's been doing. He obviously respects her methodical way to start with a special purpose grand jury, move on to a regular grand jury, fight off Donald Trump in multiple appeals and different motions along the way. And he likes what he sees. I mean, what we've seen in the reporting, her flipping 8 fake electors in Georgia and giving them immunity. That's probably hats off from Jack Smith to her, tip of the hat. That's a professional respect between the two of them. I'm sure that if he needs a transcript, he can get it from her. Let me see your fake electors. Let me see the transcripts of your interview notes. Let me see what the special purpose grand jury, in terms of the witnesses, how that developed. And then he can make the decision. Right now, that level of cooperation between the two of them, which is manifest, you can see it. You can see it because Jack Smith is focused on every state but Georgia, and that's a good thing. Just as Jack Smith isn't going after and trying to throw Alvin Bragg's Manhattan DA case out in New York, and that case is going to trial before Jack Smith's cases go to trial, because that case is going to trial in March 25 of 2024 in New York. And Jack Smith didn't call up Alvin Bragg, as far as we know, and say, you know what, that doesn't work for the federal government, the United States of America. Can you continue that case? He's not going to do that either. Jack Smith, there's an art to what he's doing. Everything from the trolling of Donald Trump by putting the Subway sandwich literally under his arm, just going to work, lunch pail, Jack, just chopping wood every day, not being sucked into the attacks of his character, professionalism, family, drug use, all this crazy, whether he's Jewish or not, all this crazy stuff, all this sand in the gears of democracy and justice that Donald Trump is trying to throw at Jack Smith. He completely ignores it, as do every other prosecutor on his team, as do the FBI, as do every investigator. That's why when the only thing you hear about Jack Smith's prosecution is what Jack Smith wants you to hear. This is leak-proof unless he strategically leaks because he wants to put pressure on witnesses or on Donald Trump himself at any given moment, right? That's why right before the Tuesday hearing last week in Mar-a-Lago, before a judge he isn't so trustworthy, he sent Donald Trump the target letter well in advance of what will be the indictment in the upcoming week or so. But he did it as a shot across the bow to everybody, including that federal judge, which is, you're not the only federal judge. It's going to have a criminal defendant named Donald Trump in front of you. There's going to be another one in the District of Columbia, and there may be another one in New Jersey. We'll follow that as well. But as to the playing nice in the sandbox, you can't play any nicer in the sandbox than what we're observing with Jack Smith and Fani Willis. I just listed for you all the witnesses that Fani already has under her belt. Her notches on her gun, and the ones that Jack Smith is just sort of, coming in behind. Let's do a couple of, let's talk to the governor. Let's talk to the Secretary of State. I know you got this, Fani, but let me just do a couple of mine just to hold up my end of the bargain. And then we will see, because we're going to have a new District of Columbia, not South Florida, indictment of Donald Trump in the coming days. We're going to have a Fani Willis end of July, beginning of August, could be the 31st of July, indictment of Donald Trump and others. And even if Rudy Giuliani, for example, got limited immunity in the federal case, he didn't get limited immunity from Fani Willis where it matters. She could still indict him. Now, that's where the level of cooperation could kick in. That would be Jack Smith calling Fani Willis and saying, look, I'm still working Rudy Giuliani in my case. We gave him limited immunity. We're not so sure that he's telling all the truth yet, and we're threatening him with a superseding or amended indictment for things related to Jan 6. But we're not going to put him in our first indictment. I would appreciate it as a professional courtesy, as the United States of America, if you didn't indict Rudy Giuliani in your first indictment. That conversation could likely be going on. And that is that level of communication and interaction and respect that we expect from Jack Smith and from Fani Willis that I believe is likely going on. We'll know more when we can line up side by side the Fani Willis Fulton County indictment, claims, facts, and indicted and unindicted co-conspirators with Trump at the center, and we compare it to what Jack Smith does. If we know Jack Smith, which we are learning rapidly about in the last 9 months, is that he's going to be the first prosecutor in history ever to indict a former president, not once, but twice, could be 3 times. And he starts small and he ends big. Mar-a-Lago was Donald Trump and Walt Nauta on 37 counts. The Fani Willis indictment is going to be more sprawling with more people. The indictment from Jack Smith that's coming out is going to be Donald Trump and some other people, but not all the people, because he's going to try to continue to squeeze certain witnesses and give them target letters or not, because he can indict without a target letter and try to turn the screws on Donald Trump. And the way you do that as a prosecutor is you say, listen, you saw the indictment that we just filed this week or just got returned from the grand jury. That had your name on it until a day ago. We removed it for now. If you would like your name on the superseding indictment that we're going to be going for in the next 2 months, keep playing the way you're playing. Otherwise, work out a deal with us for immunity, flip on Donald Trump, and then we'll keep you out of the indictment. That is a level of conversation that I am sure is going on between the prosecutor and the defense attorneys, especially for witnesses that are still dragging their feet. I'll keep following it on hot takes just like this one only on the MeidasTouch network, but you knew that because you're watching me here. You can follow me, Michael Popok, on all things social media, including Threads, at MS Popok. And then on Wednesdays and Saturdays, we pull all this together. We curate the best stories at the intersection of U.S. law and politics. We call the show Legal AF. You can get it on the MeidasTouch YouTube channel. Free subscribe. You can get it on every place you get audio podcasts. Also free subscription. In fact, everything I'm talking about is free because we're trying to make our society free and keep our democracy protected. Keep following me here. If you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm, helps the content, and helps the quality of what we bring. This is Michael Popok, Legal AF reporting.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.